A lot of, shall we say, decent people out there are genuinely worried that even if, as seems nearly certain, Don the Con, the Orange Menace, is evicted from the White House on January 20th, 2021, because in alliance with what is now a mostly corrupt Republican Party, he has managed to convince millions of voting Americans that the unrigged in the slightest 2020 election was completely rigged against him. It means that he might run a kind of parallel presidency from Mar-a-Lago, or at a minimum remain a very significant political force intent upon maintaining his own power while constantly agitating against all opponents, which would of course include Joe Biden's administration and by extension all Democrats everywhere. The question is, does this make sense astrologically? Well, let's take a look. 2021 does not feature the three-planet assault on his 12th house Venus-Saturn conjunction the way it did in 2020. However, when you take a look at the overall year, not only do you see that the situation isn't going to improve very much for Donald the Lying Clown, but in fact, there are ways in which it will be even worse. A Trump-optimistic astrologer would say, Jupiter and Saturn going into Aquarius is good for him since Aquarius trines his Libra planets, including Jupiter, sextiles his moon, and trines his Gemini planets. Good, right? That's when a less MAGA astrologer says, let's look a little closer and notice that from 5 to 12 degrees in Taurus and Aquarius, the degrees are challenging for different reasons. For one, they form semi-square to the moon, sesqui-square to the sun, and for another they catch Mercury in the 12th by quincunx, and they oppose Pluto in the first sign. This means that Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus will be aggravating those degrees at different points throughout the year, and if past this prelude, Trump does not do well under those aspects. It is true that during the green blocks of time, Jupiter trines itself or else sextiles the moon or trines Uranus or the sun, and those periods do tend to be better, but I really doubt they will be anywhere near enough to offset what by the end will look a lot more red than green. In the 7th house, Jupiter and Saturn foretells the likelihood of lawsuits since the 7th tends to be associated with those, even if legal outcomes and legal matters in general are more in the 9th. Also, the fact that Jupiter and Saturn are the planets in question emphasizes the law since both those planets are connected to it. Now look further out into the solar system and notice that Pluto spends all of 2021 either directly opposing his Saturn-Venus conjunction in the 12th or in a quincunx to his first house Mars. This is not only bad for questions of investigations, it also further increases the chance of being persecuted for legal reasons, and most dangerously, it puts his health in serious peril. It also points to prior servants, 6th sign, that now turn against him and are out to destroy him. Eris, through all of 2021, continues the assault on his Saturn that first peaked in the middle of 2017 and now continues unabated. But add to that the station in the summer, which brings it into direct contact with the 12th house Venus as well. This involves the ruler of the 10th zenith midheaven, which cannot be good for his career and public image, but also likely foretells the first round of serious problems from members of the opposite sex. You notice I skipped over Neptune. That's because I left the best for last. I've spoken at length about this planet during 2020. I mentioned that not only would it be largely responsible for destroying his chance at re-election, but that as time passed and we got into 2021, the situation would really downtrend because of the difficult nature of his natal Neptune bringing its energy into the 8th house, a house that it rules and a house you do not want heavy square challenges from when you are a lying gangster with debt liabilities. Debt, other people's money, and taxes belong in this house, so expect those subjects to come up in very difficult ways. And what else is in this house? It's the house of death. You tell me what that means. I will just say that at minimum, it's pretty risky stuff.